one essential component of leadership is discovering our passions, finding out what moves us to act, what inspires us to lead, what pushes us up the hill of a mountaintop, and encourages others to come along for the ride. It's that passion inside each and every one of us that's exciting to others, that's motivating to others, and that makes them want to believe in us. Great business leaders are also passionate leaders. They're not only self-aware of what they're passionate about, but they share and deliver that passion to each and every one whom they meet. So I want to make sure that before you leave this classroom today, you have the opportunity to explore your passions and to bring those passions to life. So I call this segment Discovering Your Passion. Let's start the discussion by understanding what passion really means, because it's one of those key words that we hear a lot, but we may not truly understand. Who can tell me the difference between drive and passion? Two words that are often used as synonyms, but I argue are very distinct. Who wants to start us off? Ashton.
Drive is a force that compels you to do something.
Okay.
And passion is your strong feelings about something that you're doing.
Excellent. Good. Let's add to that. Amr.
I think drive is what you need to have in order to achieve your passion at the end of the day. You
Interesting.
need lots of drive to get where your passion is.
Okay, drive helps you accomplish your passion. Good. Tyler.
I think drive is sticking with something. Drive is that ability to see something through. But passion is something you care about. Passion is what keeps you up at night. Both would be great leaders.
Good. Good. Mike.
I think drive is usually motivated by more tangible things like money, for instance, versus passion is more of an emotional response.
Nice. Builds nicely on Ashton's point earlier about the distinction. Good. Chris.
I would agree with them on drive. That is something you need to complete a task. But passion is something you can't ignore. You have it inside.
It's a great book called The Monk and the Riddle. It's an interesting book. It's about a Silicon Valley entrepreneur. And he tells his life story. He starts off with a riddle. And in the process of this book, he realizes that his life isn't so much about money, even though money seemed so important to him for so long. It was about finding a greater purpose, a purpose bigger than himself and bigger than what was happening in the office, and teasing out that passion and living it every day. One of the distinctions that's made in the book that I've adapted as I've thought about the difference between drive and passion is that drive pushes you towards something you feel compelled or obligated to do. It pushes you. We're driven to get good grades. We're driven to graduate. We're driven to get promoted at work. But we're not passionate about those things. We're pushed to do those things, either by ourselves or by others. They're achievements. They're check marks. They're boxes. They're things that are important to us. But they're not necessarily what give our life value, what give our life meaning. What gives our life meaning is what we're passionate about. And passion is what pulls us like a magnet towards something we cannot resist. Drive pushes us, whereas passion pulls us. It pulls us. It's like that huge magnet from the cartoons that would pull the character toward it, no matter how far the character tried to get away from it. It's what we would do even if we didn't get paid to do it. It's what we would do because we want to do it. It's what we would spend every moment of our life doing if we could, because it's what brings us enormous satisfaction and excitement. It's what keeps us up at night and prevents us from closing our eyes. And it's what we first think of when we wake up in the morning. That, ladies and gentlemen, is our passion. Now, some of us are more lucky in the sense that we've already identified our passion, whereas others of us still struggle to figure out what that passion may be. And we come across that passion in different points in our life. maybe an experience we have, something that someone says to us, maybe a course. But it's important at least that we begin thinking about our passions so that no matter where we are in our careers, we ask ourselves, is this what we ought to be doing? Is this what I was born to do? Is this the contribution that I'm going to make to society? Now, I'm not recommending that we quit our jobs tomorrow, though some students have. What I am recommending, though, is that we find ways to inculcate or incorporate passion into our jobs, or to find ways to move careers at an appropriate point that allows us to put our passion to work. Because when passion is present, success is imminent. Success is imminent. The people who are most passionate about what they do never work a day in their life. Instead, they enjoy every day, create tremendous value, and more importantly, create tremendous meaning in their lives and in the lives of the people around them. So what I want all of you to do now is to begin the exercise of thinking about your passions. You know, for me, I started my career, as many of you know, as a banker. I graduated from college, and I wanted to be a successful bank executive because that's what everyone around me was talking about, banking and consulting. Those are the cool things to do. And in many ways, in certain circles, they still are. So I took the traditional path. I moved up the ladder, but I was called to something greater. And I fell in love with social entrepreneurship, the way that we could use business to create social change. And so as you all know, I applied to the Kennedy School and had the opportunity to learn about public policy and public leadership and to understand how business could be used for good. And it was there that I got the opportunity to first teach communication workshops. The school needed someone to teach these non-credit workshops to graduate students and fellows, and the head of the program just happened to watch me in action, and she said, "Hey, why don't you think about doing this?" She said, "Would you be interested?" I said, "I don't know." She said, "You'd be good at it." I said, "Okay, I'll give it a shot." And a few weeks later, I fell in love with teaching communication, and the rest is history. So it wasn't until that moment, after my banking career, that I was first exposed to my passion. And even then, after I graduated from the Kennedy School, I went to work for a strategy consulting firm and became a senior strategy consultant and had learned a tremendous amount. Worked with senior clients and flew around in the insurance industry and worked with C-level executives and senior executives on some really interesting strategic consulting issues. But no matter how much money they paid me, and it was a very lucrative career, I still remembered that what excited me the most was teaching those communication workshops. So at night, I first started teaching at Harvard Extension School while I was a full-time employee in the strategy consulting world. It was tough, especially when I was on the road, to come back to make sure that I could teach Saturday mornings here at Harvard Extension School. But it was so important to me, and I got tremendous value and meaning from it that I did it anyway. And then I finally took that decision point that I've told all of you about, the point where I actually made the decision to take leave to figure out whether I wanted to stay where I was or take a different path. So leadership, as I've mentioned, is risky. It's risky business. I took a big risk in my career. I decided that I was going to go get a PhD, which let's say paid a little bit less than what I was making in my strategy consulting days. But I stand before you as a person who has lived the message that I'm sharing. Now, I'm not saying that all of you should necessarily take leave tomorrow and figure it out. And maybe some of you are already living your passions. But I urge you to think about it. I urge you to give it the attention it deserves. Since we only have one life to live, what is it that we ought to be doing? What is it that we've been called to do? And what is it that we should start doing right now? Take out a piece of paper. And what I want you to do is draw yourself when you are immersed in your passion. Draw yourself. No matter how good an artist you are, stick figures are fine. Draw yourself. Where are you? What's around you? Who's around you? What are you doing? Feel free to use pencils and pens, different colors if you have them. And if you need to start thinking about it, maybe you could sketch out some words or phrases as a way to spur your imagination around what you're doing when you're happiest. I'm going to give you some time and play some music to help you think a bit about your passions and how you can bring those passions to life.